Hello again and welcome to another Warhammer 40k video. So today guys we're going to be doing a rumour roundup of all the information that we currently have regarding the new Psychic Awakening book by Games Workshop. It is The Greater Good. Now for those of you that have been living under a rock somewhere, The Greater Good covers 3 factions. It will be providing rules and stratagems updates for those 3 factions. I don't think there will be any points changes whatsoever. That's covered by chapter approved. The 3 factions in question are the Tau, Boo, Hiss, the Genestealer Cult, and also, of course, the best faction in the game, the Imperial Guard, the Astra Militarum. So, I'm doing this video now because Games Workshop seem to have played their hand in terms of what is available, in terms of rumours and leaks that they're willing to release for the Tau and the Genestealer Cult. And I think tomorrow they're going to do a post about the Imperial Guard. So I want to cover mostly what the Tau and Genestealer Cult have that we know they're getting so far, compare those two, and then I'm going to do some predictions based on that for what I think the Guard will get, and hopefully if Games Workshop continues their schedule, then we will find out tomorrow what the Imperial Guard are likely to have in this book. So it'll be cool to see if my predictions match up with what we actually see from Games Workshop. I could be totally off, I could be totally right, and it'll be interesting after this video to get your thoughts down below what you think we're going to see. So first off, we'll go through the Tau reveals. Now, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to be salty about it, but I'm not going to lie. The Tau I've definitely feels like they're the favourite faction so far in this book. They've had a lot more press leading up to this. They've had Games Workshop have shown off The Greater Good, Shadowsun Strikes. That's an article where they reveal the new Shadowsun model. They've also had the Tau. They've also had their faction focus. That's 2 articles, and they've also had a story, Psychic Awakening in Harmony Restored, which I will actually be covering what's talked about in that story as well. So they've had 3 articles. Imperial Guard so far have had no articles, and I mean we can presume we're going to get a faction focus, and we have actually had a regimental standard as well talking about styles, which will be interesting to talk about that as well. So yeah, it does definitely, and obviously the book is called The Greater Good, the tower on the front cover of it. So I'm going to set my expectations relatively low. I'm not going to be salty or anything, but I think this is kind of like the Monk Car book and Kayun book from 7th edition. The Tau, they're the golden boy. They're the Games Workshop's secret favourite faction. You know, they love Marines, but they also, their second favourite faction is of course the Tau. Everyone knows this. Edition after edition, the Tau get loads of good stuff. So I think it's just natural just to sit back and just accept that. That's fine. Everyone knows that the Games Workshop do like them. So I think the Tau are probably going to come out as the big winners of this book. If this book had been given the name sort of, you know, the Hammer of the Emperor, and the Imperial Guard had been on the front cover of it, then I would have expected them to be the main focus of this. Games Workshop have said that this is going to focus. They have said, oh, it's going to be focused on the Imperium trying to fend off the Tau and the Genestealer Cult, but I think that's just lip service. Personally, I think the Tau are going to get the lion's share of everything and probably come out with the best, the most improved sort of set of stratagems and stuff like that. So that's my prediction. We'll see if tomorrow if the Guard get released, and if they do, we'll see if they get loads of awesome stuff or if it's just fairly standard or mediocre. We'll see. So just going through the first bit of information that we have, and we're going to take a look at the we're going to take a look, if I can just get it. Yeah, we're going to look at Shadowsun Strikes. Okay, so Games Workshop are releasing a new Shadowsun model. It's some people have nicknamed her Thick Sun because the thighs are so thick on this model. Definitely a much chunkier model of Shadowsun. She used to be quite small and dainty, and you can imagine she was meant to be kind of stealthy. That was her whole thing. She was practically invisible. They seem to have just thrown that whole thing away, and Shadowsun now is in a proper beast and bruiser of a battle suit. Fair enough. The Tau never stays still for long. Their whole thing is that they constantly innovate. So, okay, Shadowson's decided that being stealthy isn't a big deal anymore. So it's talking about, in the article, I'm not going to go through it word by word, but the gist of it is that she is leading now. She's leading the 5th sphere expansion, which have linked up with the 4th sphere expansion. Now, for those of you that don't know Tau lore, very quickly, they don't launch crusades. The Imperium launches crusades when they want to retake territory. The Tau call their crusade spheres. So when they or spheres of expansion, you know, like a circle sphere. So what happened is everyone knows about the 3rd sphere of expansion. That was a sort of Damocles Gulf Crusade, that kind of thing. The 4th sphere actually is a really cool bit of Tau lore, which we're going to get into, which is they actually found a wormhole. But in 40k, obviously, it's not like a normal wormhole in space, which takes you from point A to point B. It was a wormhole that went through the warp. But the Tau have no way of measuring the warp, because you can't scientifically measure the warp. So they sent a drone through. It's like, oh yeah, this drone went from this point to this point. Amazing. We'll send a whole fleet through, basically. So the Tau retrofitted a Imperial, from what I understand, they retrofitted an Imperial warp drive and went into the warp. And they didn't appreciate that they needed Geller fields to stop the demons from getting in. Because whilst the Tau have very little psychic presence, all the alien auxiliaries, which actually make up a significant part of their force, do have quite a large psychic presence. And so the Tau's force for expansion all got sucked into the warp, because they launched too many warp drives at once, which caused like a warp rift. The whole army, battle fleet, the whole thing got sucked into the warp. All the alien auxiliaries started getting possessed, mutated, absolutely destroyed. They got spat out on the other side of the galaxy. There's some fluff about the Tau, like there being some sort of Tau god that guides them. It's a bit of a weird one. Because obviously the Tau don't have... It's a bit of... Don't get hung up on that. And but what's happened is the Tau, who were part of the Force Expansion, were thought lost. However, the Tau never give up. They go through, and the 5th sphere expansion is thrown together, and they find a way of safely travelling through the wormhole. That's fine. They link up on the other side, and they actually find that not all this 4th sphere expansion got destroyed, and they link up, and the 5th sphere, led by Shadowson, links up with what's left of the 4th sphere. But the problem with the 4th expansion guys is that they've gone a bit Imperial. By that I mean they've sort of finally started to understand why the Imperium is so funny about aliens and the warp and chaos, because they've seen it firsthand. Because Shadowson doesn't understand, because the Ethereals suppress all the knowledge, and she's the Ethereals' favourite child, so she knows nothing about chaos whatsoever. But these 4th expansion guys are like, we've seen it. We hate aliens. The only people that didn't get possessed in that spaceship were Tau. So all auxiliaries, we're going to kill them, which is really interesting. We'll talk about that in like I said, that links to another article. But so it's really interesting because the Tau, Farsight and his enclaves, they've gone away because they realise the lies of the Ethereals and chaos. These 4th expansion guys, their belief in the greater good has gone totally out of whack, because they now believe that the best way to spread the greater good is by killing everyone. They've gone basically full Imperial. And what's starting to the Tau starting to realize, as the Tau expand more, what they're starting to realize is chaos is bad, okay, and you can't just not talk about it, because if you just not talk about it, it's gonna screw you over. So that's sort of the fluff update, and Shadowson's leading the new sphere, and she's got this awesome new battle suit, and it's the XV-22 Stalker battle suit. It's now better than ever. It comes with a flechette launcher, a pulse pistol, lol, and a light missile pod. And I know, the pulse pistol. Oh, if Shadowson gets into combat, don't worry, she can use a pulse pistol. I mean, it's not even on the model, is it? She got like one on her hip or something. I don't know why she's got that pulse pistol. Anyway, not going to get hung up on it. And she gets, like I said, flechette launcher. I don't know what that does. Light missile pod, and she can choose between the Dispersed Fusion Blaster or the High Energy Fusion Blaster. So before she just used to have the standard Tau Fusion Blaster, which was an 18-inch melter gun. Now she can take the Dispersed Fusion Blaster, which is still 18 inches, but it's Assault 2, Strength 7, AP -4, D3 damage. When resolving an attack made with this weapon against a unit within half range, roll 1 additional D3 and inflicting damage with it and discard 1 dice. And then you've got the High Energy Fusion Blaster, which is 24-inch range, so better range. Assault 1, so 1 less attack. Strength 8, AP, so better strength. AP, same AP, AP -4. Damage, D6, so way better damage. When resolving an attack mode weapon against a unit that was in half range, roll 1 additional D6 inflicting damage with it and discard 1 of the dice. So, just math hammering that. If you had, do you choose, you can always take one of each. Okay, so if you took 2, but you're going to pair them up. I think you're going to take either 2 of the Dispersed or 2 of the High Energy. I don't think you're going to mix. If you took 2 Dispersed Fusion Reactors, then you can do 4 shots at Strength 7, AP -4, D3 damage, and you can with sort of the melter rule. So the total that if you absolutely max out, you got 4 hits, 4 wounds. You could kill 4 individual models and do 12 damage if all D3s, yeah. Or the High Energy Fusion Blaster, you get extra range, but you get 1 less shot. You do have greater strength, so it's better at killing tanks, but you can only kill. But it's just D6 damage. So if both shots hit, then you get 12 damage as well. So both weapons, if you pair up both weapons with either 2 Dispersed or 2 High Energy, you're doing 12 damage either way. But the Dispersed Fusion Blaster, whilst having a shorter range, whilst having 1 less strength, does have the ability to kill 4 models. And in 40k, more shots is always better. So there you go. So I would probably say that you'd want to take 2 Dispersed Fusion Blasters, because you can do this. You've got a good chance of doing the same amount of damage to whatever vehicle you shoot at, but you can kill 4 Primaris Marines. You know, and that's what it's all about. You can kill 4 Primaris Marines with the Dispersed ones. You can only kill 2 with the High Energy ones. We'll see how it goes. Shadowsun has her. While Shadowsun has kept her MV-62 Command Link drone, her MV-52 shield drones have been replaced with an M37 Advanced Guardian drone. So she gets a 4-up invulnerable save. So she doesn't have 2 drones anymore. She doesn't have 2 shield drones. She just has 1 Advanced Guardian drone. Interesting. Okay, she gets 1 command drone, 1 Advanced Guardian drone. Okay. They have a 4+ invulnerable save. When a friendly Tower Empire model would lose a wound whilst in 3 inches, this model roll a D6. On a 6, that's not lost. So basically, it gives Shadowsun, when a friendly Tower Empire model, so it's not unit, it's model. So if these things babysit Shadowsun around, they get a 6-up feel no pain. Don't know if that's worth it. I hope that they still get the feel no pain on that Advanced Guardian drone, because otherwise that is total cack. Anyway, 4+ invuln save the model, fine. That's a normal shield drone. And then Shadowsun gets a D6, gets a 6 feel no pain. Okay. As the overall commander of the 5th Sphere expansion, Shadowsun is now able to join any Tau Sept in battle. Cool. She can even fight alongside her great rival, Commander Farsight. Supreme Commander, this model will be included in a Tower Empire attachment without preventing other units in the attachment from gaining a Sept Tenant. Note, however, that this model does not benefit from any Sept Tenant unless a Sept Tenant selected for that attachment is Coordinated Fire Arcs. So, you can put her, it's like Celestine, you can put her in any type of Tau army you want. You won't screw over the rest of your regiment trait, your Tau Empire trait, but she won't get a trait unless you put her in her proper, in the set that she's originally from. Fine. My first impressions of Shadowsun, she's alright. Yeah, she's always been a pretty solid model. Obviously, she's got that flechette launcher. I don't know the rules on that. The light missile pod, I don't imagine it's going to be overly powerful. Basically, she's going to be running around with 4 metal gun shots. So, to be fair, if you did go for the... To be fair, she's going to be running around with either the same kind of guns she had before with 6 inch extra range. That's not much when it comes to power creep. Or she's going to be running around with four basically melter autocannon shots. To be honest, I'm looking at her. She doesn't seem totally broken or overpowered at all. She seems pretty decent. That's good. Well done, Games Workshop. You've released a Tau model which looks fun and powerful, but not totally broken. Unless I'm missing something. Anyway, so Shadowstone was good. Then we get on to the Tau faction focus. So won't focus too much on the fluff here. We'll just go through the rules that we've seen released. So Tau are getting custom regiment traits, custom chapter tactics, sept tenants. So you can build your own sept now. So you can use the big 6 like every faction gets, or you can make your own special snowflake one. Great. And they have released two potential sept tenants. So for those of you that aren't familiar with how the Space Marine one works, the Space Marines are the ones that premiered the build your own chapter system. You get a list of about 20-ish of 20 traits you can pick from, and you get to pick 2 of those. And that's been fairly consistent. Like I think Elder got 20, but Tony's got 26. Marine's got about 22. It's in the 20s. So you'll get 20 to pick from, but they only ever reveal 2. So the 2 that the Tau have had released, to give you an idea of the kind of build your own regiment you can make, is stabilization systems and soldiers and arms. So stabilization systems first. When resolving an attack made with a ranged weapon by a battlesuit model with this tenant, that model does not suffer the penalty for moving and firing heavy weapons. That's actually really good. Simply because I like it because it only affects battlesuits. So any vehicles which are moving with them are still going to be affected. So this definitely is pushing Tau towards battlesuits again, which that's okay. I mean, obviously it's not good. Obviously it would affect Riptides, but people pay for target lock on them. Basically, this just gives the Tau free target lock. It'll save you, I think it's 10 points per model. So this, you might end up giving up something else, but this basically just gives you free target lock across all your battlesuits. That's okay. That doesn't seem overly broken. That's just like the Talan trait, isn't it? That's okay. And the second thing they get is soldiers and arms. Increase the range of the greater good ability to 9 inches for units with this tenant. So for those of you that don't know what the greater good ability is, it's when you try and charge a Tau unit, normally any other friendly Tau units within 6 inches get to overwatch as well. So you might charge one Tau unit, and even if you don't declare the other 2-3 units around it as a target, they're still going to overwatch you. Now they only get to do that once, so you can charge them, eat the overwatch from like 4 units, and then charge that unit again, and then the 3 supporting units don't get to fire again. This ability means that they get an extra 3-inch range to that. That's quite powerful, but also totally fluffy, totally in line with the way the Tau work. It is going to make charging down a Tau gun line difficult, but it's one of those abilities which is fairly balanced, because if you take that, great, you are going to be pretty anti-assault. What if you face a shooting army like Guard, for example, like Imperial Guard? It's not gonna help you. So both of those that they've revealed are decent, but not broken. They're decent. The Tau also get a new prototype weapon system. So I think this is... people have said, is this like a relic? And I don't think it's like a relic. So just the reason why people are thinking... basically, I'll read it out and then I'll explain my thinking. So the prototype weapon system that they get access to is the Advanced EM Scrambler. XV95 Ghost Kill Battlesuit model only. Enemy units that are set up on the battlefield as reinforcement cannot be set up within 12 inches of this model. Okay, so that ability, you put it on a Ghost Kill, is nice. It helps push out enemy screening units. For example, Marines, Raven Guard, who might want to deep strike some Centurions near you, they're not going to like this at all. You're going to really be able to push them out and screen them out. And lots of other deep striking stuff. In the context of the Greater Good campaign, this is obviously quite good at fending off Gene Cyclical, but it's only on one model, and I assume you can only take one of them. So, because of this, it's a really good ability, but you can't spam it. You can't just totally destroy your entire the entire Gene Cyclical army by just pushing it all out. That's good. The reason why people thought this was a relic, that people were getting excited because they were like, is this a relic that you can put on a non-character model? Or can you put characters in a Ghost Kill battlesuit? Which you normally can't. I don't think it's that. I think it's like the Tyranid Advanced Biomorph thing, where instead of taking a regiment trait, you can or a Tyranid Bio trait, we're going to call it, you could instead enhance one of your units. And I think this is, you don't have to take a regiment trait. Instead, you could take this advanced thing, this advanced system. That's what I reckon. I don't think it'll be a relic you can take on a non-relic model, and I don't think it'll be a character in a Ghost Kill, but I could be wrong. We'll see what happens. They get a new stratagem, a few new stratagems actually. So the first new stratagem, Coordinated Engagement. I really like this one. I think this is very good. It's 2 CP. Use a stratagem in your shooting phase. Select one unit of XV8 Crisis Battlesuits or XV8 Crisis Bodyguards from your army and select one enemy unit. Until the end of that phase, when resolving an attack made by a model in that XV8 Crisis Battlesuit or Bodyguard unit against that enemy unit, treat the enemy unit as having 5 marker lights. Love it. You'll very rarely find me say that I like something from the Tau. I think this is a really good example of Games Workshop getting a stratagem right. So the buff is you get 5 marker light counters. What does that mean? It means your opponent, you're getting +1 to hit against them. So you go from hitting on 4s to hitting on 3s. You get reroll 1s, and you get ignore cover. That's essentially the buffs that you're getting from that. But it costs you 2 command points. But what are the restrictions? Well, you can only do it on one of your units. Okay. So you might want to take one massive unit of Crisis Battlesuits. Fine, fair enough. But the other kicker is you can only select one enemy unit. So it's balanced. Right, because that's the caveat. That's what makes it balanced. If you could just select one of your Crisis Battlesuit units and give them reroll 1s, +1 to hit and ignore cover, that would be totally broken. But you have to pick the enemy unit as well. So for me, as a pure infantry guard player, it's like, okay, great, well done. You can spend 2 CP, and it will mean that you get all those buffs against one of my guardsman squads. So not that great against me. However, against maybe a tank heavy list like a Baneblade or a Lehman Russ or a big blob of 30 orcs, something like that, it's really, really good. So it's good at eliminating one very dangerous target. And that's what the Tower are all about. The Tower have never been this whole mass firepower. Well, obviously they're mass firepower, but sort of the Tower of what I'm trying to say is the Tower have always been really good at being like a scalpel and slicing away units from the enemy's army, and this reflects it. I think this is really good. I think it makes XVA Crisis Battlesuits. You can take a massive blob of them, give them all double burst cannon, give them all advanced targeting system. They've had a point drop recently. You drop them into the enemy's face, you use 2 CP, and you delete one of their key units. I think that's a really, really strong stratagem for using it to delete one horrible enemy unit. The next stratagem that they have, Danger Close. This is for Farsight Enclaves only, so you can only use this if you take the Farsight Enclaves. If you take any of the sept or build your own sept, you can't take this. It's 1 CP. Use the stratagem in your shooting phase when a breach team or strike team unit from your army is chosen to shoot with. Until the end of that phase, when resolving an attack made with the ranged weapon by a model in that unit against the enemy unit within 12 inches, you can reroll the wound roll. That one is a little too strong. Yes, it only affects breacher teams or strike teams. Okay, fair enough. But it's a little too strong. Because it's only 1 CP. And it's reroll the wound roll. It's not the failed wound roll, it's just the wound roll. It's a little strong for 1 CP. Because, guys, you could take 10 Fire Warriors, or however, I don't know what the maximum size for Fire Warriors, but you could Fire Warrior squad, but you could take, I think it's 10. Let's say you take 10 Fire Warriors with a Farsight mark, not Farsight, with a Fire Blade, the character, and you put those within 12 inches. You've got 3 shots per guy, so that's 30 shots. If you get your marker lights off, you can get your reroll 1s to hit, and your +1 to hit, and you ignore cover if you get all your mark lights off. So you could have a squad of fires which hit 30 shots, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s. That's what, 25 hits roughly, and then they get to reroll all the wounds on those things. It's just going to be absolutely devastating. It's reroll all wounds. It's just going to be devastating. I just think 1 CP is a little too cheap for that. I think if you had, especially when you start seeing some of the other stratagems that are out there that have been released as part of this, I think that should have been 2 CP. Let's just read it again. When resolving an attack made by a ranged weapon by a model in that unit against an enemy unit within 12 inches. So you don't even have to... I think it should have been 2 CP. Or if for 1 CP it was you reroll the wound rolls of 1. That's what I think. I think rerolling all wound rolls is just horrible. So they took that shit away from Guilliman, so why the hell did the tout get it, you know? Aggressive so they've got another warlord trait, the aggressive tactician, commander model only. When this warlord declares Monk Cat, it affects friendly Farsight Enclave units in 12 inches of this warlord instead of 6. That's friggin' horrible. So everyone within 6 inches of the warlord will get to reroll all hits. Ugh. But this time it's everyone within 12 inches of the warlord. That's your whole army. Your whole army is going to have that. That is horrible. And then you have the relic, another relic, the Mirror Codex. When resolving an attack made by a model with this relic against a unit within 8 inches, you can reroll the hit roll. Ugh. That's still pretty horrible. That's pretty, but I guess that only affects the model with the relic. Yeah. Okay. It's not great though. Yeah. Think about the air. What do they call the Cyclone Iron Blasters, or the missile pod? The cyclic iron blasters are going to. Yeah. That. The Farsight Enclave stratagem is a bit too strong. The aggressive tactician is a bit too strong, but again, it's for Farsight Enclaves only, so it might not be. You might not see it that much. It might not actually be a big deal. The Mirror Codex isn't too bad. It's not too bad. It depends who you can give that relic to. So that's pretty much all of the main Tau bits covered off now. One last thing to mention is there was a good story done by Games Workshop, Psychic Awakening in Harmony Restored, and it talked about and it was a story about a bunch of humans who had turned traitor to the greater good, and they were basically auxiliaries for the Tau, so they had their pulse weapons and stuff like that, and they got caught in between. They were originally defending a position. You know, there was quite a lot of them. Like, it was a proper force defending against an Imperial Guard push, and they which they were struggling to hold off anyway. And then the Gene Occult rose up behind them, and the Tau got absolutely massacred. And the story is about the aftermath of this. And what's really cool is it's actually a small moment of of glory for the Imperial Guard, which never happens when you're facing the Tau. So what happens is the Tau obviously were getting beaten by the Guard anyway. Then they get crushed by the Gene Occult. The Gene Occult then launch on a full attack against the Guard. It's the Destroyer and Firstborn. And the Destroyer and Firstborn don't miss a beat and just continue. They're like, right, we've killed the Tau, crack on straight into the Gene Occult. And they then start to beat the crap out of the Gene Occult as well. So it's almost, and then the Tau come back for some more, and these auxiliaries come back for some more, and the Guard find themselves trapped between two forces, the remainder of the Tau traitors and the Gene Occult, and they still fucking kick ass, which is great. And the Lehman Russes just start dominating everything, and it's only by the intervention of the of some fourth sphere expansion Manta gunships, which pushed the Guard back, that the Tau are able to win. And they push the Guard back, and then because they're fourth sphere and they hate all aliens, what they actually do is once the Gene Occult and the Guard have been pushed back, the Tau fourth sphere fire warriors just kill all the humans that had turned traitor and had joined the Tau, and they use words like purged and cleansed, and so it's quite interesting. So it's a good example of how not everything is rosy in the Tau Empire anymore. So it's a good little story, but like I said, it's definitely worth a read because you'll get obviously the Tau win at the end. It's a Tau story, but there is that moment of humanity, fuck yeah, when the Destroyer and Firstborn just take on two factions and do a good job at beating both of them. So it's worth a read, that. So that's all the... Oh, that's not all the Tau stuff. Okay, so up until that point, we'd seen some decent Tau reveals, okay? And there was nothing that was too broken. Like, even that Farsight Enclave stratagem wasn't totally broken because, it has to be within 12 inches. I mean, you don't have to get that close to them if you don't want, and especially as the Guard, you don't have to get that close to them. And it can only be done on one unit. At most, it can be done on one firewall unit. Not a big deal. And then Games Workshop revealed a stratagem on Facebook, and it was totally and utterly broken. So they released a stratagem for 1 CP modulated weaponry. Use the stratagem in your shooting phase when a sept model from your army is chosen to shoot with. Until the end of that phase, do not roll to determine the type of characteristic of heavy weapons that model is equipped with. They have their maximum values, e.g. a heavy D6 weapon makes 6 shots. Now, that's 1 CP to get the maximum number of shots always. Now, that's not one weapon on the suit. That is all the weapons on the suit. Now, if you go through the normal Tau Codex and look at the weapons this affects, it's not a huge deal. It affects the Riptide's Ion Accelerator. It's not too bad. It's not a very good option. It gives, it's not a very good option in comparison to the Heavy Burst Cannon. Gives Tau a reason to take it. Fair enough. Maybe you could make your Hammerhead when it's firing that Ion Cannon. It could get the maximum number of shots. That's not too bad. Hammerhead, submunition, not too bad. Those kind of weapons, it's not the end of the world. Tau Hammerheads don't fire twice. Riptides don't fire twice with their thing. Yeah, it's genuinely not a big deal. And they even took into account that the Storm Surge, which has the missile pod nipple racks, which because they said you can't use on a Titanic model because that's 4d6 strength 5 AP -1 shots. And they were like, well, we can't obviously have that thing shooting 24 strength 5 AP -1 shots, so they don't get it. Good job, Games Workshop. However, they clearly didn't take a look at Forge World, because Forge World has a Riptide called the Yavara Battlesuit, also known as the White-Eyed. And it is a Riptide, which is totally bonkers. And it has 2 weapons which have got random number of shots. The iconic Discharge Cannon and the Phase Plasma Flamer. The iconic Discharge Cannon is when you nova charge it. So you only take when you shoot this thing, it's got heavy 3d3. So that's now that's now 9 guaranteed 9 shots with strength 10, AP -3, flat 3 damage. When targeting this enemy vehicle, the target suffers D3 mortal wounds in addition to all of the damage for each wound roll of a 6 made for this weapon. So even if you don't take that into account, that's 9 strength 10 -3 damage 3 weapons. That's pretty bad. Okay, straight off the bat, that's pretty bad. Okay. But then it gets worse. Because they also have, like I said, the Phase Plasma Flame, which has an 8-inch range. You have to get close. You do have to get close. But it is heavy 3d6, so now that's if you use this, now that's 18. The weapon hits its target automatically, so that's 18 automatic hits. But it's only a flamer, right? No, it's a flamer on steroids. It's strength 6, AP -2, flat 3 damage. Right. That's broken. So that means you have one model which has 18 automatic hitting damage 3 shots and 9 strength 10 AP -3 damage 3 shots. So it's totally broken. It is totally broken. People have already pointed out that it is a joke. People have already pointed out that you can make the weapons using like the Tau set an 18-inch range on those flamers, so they're not even short ranged. Yeah, it's just crazy. And someone also pointed out brilliantly that that the games in the basic codex there is a stratagem for 1 CP. Which says, use the stratagem when a Borkan Sept unit from the army fires a ranged weapon that makes a random number of attacks. You can re-roll one of the dice used to determine the number of attacks made. So look at the power creep there. From when the Tau Codex was released, you have a stratagem that lets you re-roll one of the dice for 1 CP. Cool. Basically means you can use that to re-roll one of the dice, and then you can use a command point re-roll to re-roll one of the other dice if you wanted to. Fair and balanced. To now, 1 CP, all your dice, all of them, now get max shots. Same CP cost. One is not limited to any sept. One is limited to a sept. The one that's limited is crap. You get to reroll one die. Not crap. Is normal. Lets you reroll one of the dice. The one, the other one just lets you just go bonkers. That is total. It just shows power creep. So that is broken. I think people are saying, oh, but Games Workshop says they're redoing all the points for Forge World stuff. Well, it doesn't matter because it's not. They might be redoing it at some point, but it's not released yet. So that's a bad joke. To be honest, that is a really, really bad joke. So expect on the tournament scene to see at least one Yuvara Riptide in every Tau list. Expect that. So, Tau equals broken. Fair enough. I'm not going to, that one speaks for itself. I could go on and on about that being silly, but I would say honestly, hand on heart, if you take the Yuvara Riptide out of the equation, okay, let's just take it out. Because you can do, because a lot of tournaments limit Forge World. And you can just, and if you're not playing a tournament, you just say to your opponent, if it's a friendly, look, come on, don't use the Yuvara. We all know that's broken as crap. You can just have that conversation with your opponent. And if you take the Yuvara out of it and look at what's been released for the Tau, that is a nice, healthy update. There's some good additional stratagems there which aren't totally broken. And there is a new character model which is okay, and the new sept traits look interesting. So I would say the tower looking very strong if you don't take into account the broken Riptide and modulated weaponry stratagem. Moving on to the cult then, and I appreciate we've been talking about this for a while already. Moving on to the cult, but that is the main bulk of the reveals. Games Workshop have actually shown very little regarding Genes of the Cult and nothing about Guard yet. So looking at the cult, what we have is the faction focus, which is okay. Yeah, we have the faction focus, so we'll go over that first. So Genes of the Cults, they too have the ability to make their own cult. So you can choose from one of the 6 pre-made ones, called the Four-Armed Emperor or Twisted Helix, or you can build your own cult. And they've given them they've shown off two cult traits you can pick from. So again, it's you get to pick. There's going to be a list of 20 or so, and you can pick 2. Fine. So one of them is Agile Outriders. Biker models with this cult creed do not suffer the penalty for moving and firing heavy weapons, and do not suffer the penalty for advancing and firing assault weapons. So that's like one part of the Rusted Claw trait. That's okay, but there's not. It's okay. But no one's taking Rusted Claw. No one was ever taking Rusted Claw for the good bikers. People were taking Rusted Claw for the basically ignoring, getting a bonus to your armor save against AP nothing and AP -1 shots. There's only 2 weapons that the bikers get which are heavy weapons. One is a heavy stubber, ooh la la, and one is the mining laser. It is just a normal mining laser. So you can already spam them on neophytes. So I don't see that as being overly helpful. I don't see that as being a great one. But if you are running a fluffy biker army, that is good. That is good. If you're running like 30 bikers, that would be cool. The next one is really good. Unnatural Symbiosis. When taking a psychic test, when a psychic test is taken for a cult model with this cult creed within 6 inches of another friendly cult unit, you can reroll any or all dice rolls of 1. That is great. That protects you from perils. It's fluffy because you're drawing upon the psychic bubble and psychic link that all cult models get. Protects you from perils of the warp. Reliably helps you get those psychic powers off. Fantastic. Now, obviously, you do have to bear in mind that if you were taking a pure cult army, the most psychic powers you can cast a turn are 6, because you can take 3 Patriarchs and 3 Maguses, and they can only cast 1 power each, unless you give each one of those guys a familiar, which lets them then once per game cast 2 psychic powers in a turn. But I don't think you would need to. I think the average amount of psychic powers you get off in a cult list is 6, because you get a couple of smites off, a psychic blast off, your might from beyond, your stop the overwatch, and the make the enemy and mind control. So you would get about 6. So you look at about 6 powers. It helps you save on CP and helps you protect from perils, and that's always a good thing. So I think that's really good. That's a really powerful one. Speaking of psychic powers, ho mama. Now each cult gets its own special psychic power. Now I know some people have whinged and moaned and said each Space Marine chapter gets its own full psychic discipline. Why does everyone else just get 1 special psychic power? Well, that's just the way it goes, isn't it? That's just Marines. But now you do get a special psychic power. That's really cool. And the one they showed off is super powerful. It's the Twisted Helix Mutagenic Deviation. Mutagenic Deviation is a warp charge value of 6. That's friggin' low. If manifested, select 1 enemy infantry unit within 12 inches of the psychic until the start of your next psychic phase. When resolving an attack made by a melee weapon, buy a Twisted Helix model from your army against that unit. Add 1 to the wound roll. That is so good. Because you're not just doing it on one of your units. you're putting it on an enemy unit. It's kind of like why overlapping fields of fire is really powerful, because it doesn't just help you with one of your units, it can help your whole army potentially if you're facing something like knights. Now it is an enemy infantry unit, so you're thinking, oh, it won't help me against knights, blah blah blah. It's going to help you against the most powerful thing out there at the moment, which is Space Marine Centurion spam. Think about this. You can put this on an enemy Centurion unit. You can then psychic power that unit so it can't overwatch you. You can then charge in with multiple Twisted Helix units. And Twisted Helix is already fast being recognised as a very powerful cult trait. You can already charge in with multiple and then tear that Centurion unit to pieces. It's +1 to wound. Because you think about this, Twisted Helix, you have +1 strength. So if we take the basic Acolyte, the basic bitch Acolyte, he is strength 4. Twisted Helix becomes strength 5. Oh, so he's wounding Centurions on 4s, is he? No, thanks to this power, he's wounding them on 3s. That's pretty good. And don't forget, it's add 1 to the wound roll. If you go and look at the Rending Claw weapon that pretty much every Genestealer Occult person comes with, that says on a 6+ to wound, the attack is AP -4. Thanks to this power, against that unit that you've psychicked, that's a 5+. Becomes AP -4. Which means if you send in, even if it was just one unit of Acolytes, just one unit of Acolytes, it's not a difficult combination to get off. It's, you psychic the enemy unit for 6, what the hell do you call it? 6 warp charge. Great. They can't overwatch me now. You could, you can't overwatch you now. And then you psychic your unit to get +1 to wound against them. Charge 20 Acolytes in. That's only 140 points, guys. That's really cheap. You've got a, and then that way they've got 3 attacks each. They've got 2 attacks each for their Rending Claws. That's 40 attacks. Okay. Now you can improve that again, but we're looking at not even the most buffed unit you can get. You'll probably have a Primus nearby, so wound it. So you'll have your cult icon, makes it 150 points. That means you're hitting on 2s, rerolling 1, so you're pretty much going to hit with all of them. So let's say that's about 4. That's going to be 40 hits, nearest, damn it. Then you're going to be wounding on 3s, and you could be rerolling 1s as well, thanks to your Primus ability. So you wound. Let's say you've got wounding on 3s. That's going to be 30 wounds, 10 of which are AP minus. Are going to be AP -4. So 10 of which you get a 6 up save against, so they might save 1 or 2. That's 2 dead Centurions straight away. That's 2 dead Centurions straight away, and you've still got your other 20 attacks at AP -1, which should kill. Which they're going to get 3 up save against, so they're going to save 7 of them. So if you're lucky, then your cult knives go. So another 20 attacks. You should be able to kill very roughly 4 Centurions with a single Acolyte unit for 150 points. Not even taking into account having any rock swords in there yet. There's a cheap, basic bitch Acolyte squad is going to do really good thanks to this stratagem. It's a really, 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 really good one. Now what I like about it, and I think that's and I really hope Games Workshop have noticed this. I did in my Genes of the Cult video I did a little while ago. I said the problem with Cult is that they rely massively on stratagems to be effective. So what I hope is that Games Workshop bring out lots and lots of cheap stratagems for them, of course, but they also give you things that aren't stratagems that you can rely upon, like psychic powers. And this is this is showing that we don't want everything to be reliant upon our stratagems. If we can have other combos we can pull in that don't burn through all our CP, like psychic powers, like unit abilities, that would help the cult become so less gimmicky. Yeah, it'd be really, really good. Second to last thing that they revealed was a stratagem. Now, this stratagem has been universally panned by everyone who's seen it, and I think that is wrong. Okay, it's called Prepared Ambush. Use a stratagem at the start of your shooting phase. Select one neophyte hybrid unit from your army that was set up on the battlefield using the cult ambush ability in this battle round. Until the end of that phase, all gun models in that unit are equipped with have the type characteristic of Assault 2. Now everyone saw that and scratched their head and said, why would you care about that? You just deep strike them inside of rapid fire range. Okay. Yeah, that's true. Bear in mind one thing. It's 1 CP. It's a cheap stratagem. Bear in mind the second thing is, this stratagem is obviously designed for someone like me who runs a nearly pure neophyte cult army. The biggest problem with running a pure neophyte cult army is the fact that when you have like 100, you have 240 neophytes generally speaking. 120 of them start on the board. The other 120 start off the board. Imagine trying to deep strike 120 guys. You can't get them all into rapid fire range. Now currently you do have the stratagem lying in wait, which lets you deep strike one of your units within 3 inches of the enemy. So that does help you a little bit stop the traffic jam. But it's still not really enough. What this allows you to do is to deep strike one of your units up close and personal to make room. And another, so that's the lying in wait. And then the other unit, you can use this stratagem on, prepared ambush, and free up the traffic jam even more and deploy these guys up to 24 inches away because they're still going to get 2 shots per guy. That's all it's for, guys. That's all it for. You don't, because your mining lasers are still going to be in range because they've got 24-inch range. Your grenade launcher is still going to be in range because they've got 24-inch range. That's all this stratagem is for. It is there to free up the traffic jam. And I have been saying for a long time, guys, that I think the best way to run cults now is as a shooting cult. And the best way to do that is as a pure neophyte army. Okay? This is a tool for players like me to use. And I think it's quite powerful. Also take into account this, guys. There are a lot of abilities out there which you don't want to deep strike within 12 inches of the enemy, or you can't. For example, you have Auspex scan for Marines, and then you have lots of people which can stop you from deep striking within 12 inches, like Marines. So this means that you may not be able to get within 12 inches. If you've got one neophyte blob of 20 guys you want to deep strike in, and you want to actually get them to do something, spend 1 CP and don't deploy them right up the enemy's face and still get your maximum firepower. Is it as broken as some of the other stratagems out there? Of course not. It's nowhere near as broken as half the Marine stratagems. That's good. This is what I like to think of as the perfect example of what a stratagem should be. Not too powerful, not useless, tactical flexibility. It gives you tactical flexibility with a little bit of damage increase. The problem that has happened with a lot of stratagems is people have Games Workshop has sort of got into the lazy habit of just having stratagems as a way of boosting the power of a unit. And a stratagem's not meant to do that. It's meant to be strategic. The key is in the name. It's meant to increase the options you have on the battlefield. It's not. A stratagem should never be deploy unit, turn stratagem on, delete enemy unit. It should never ever be that. And if you look at the again, apart from that stupid Tau stratagem that's broken with the Riptide, again, take the Riptide out of it. If you look at all the stratagems that Games Workshop have released for Psychic Awakening so far, any of them that have cost 1 CP have been good, but not have been totally broken. So this one gives you tactical flexibility, a little bit of a damage output. The Tau one with the danger close, yes, it's really, really powerful, but you do have to be within 12 inches, and Tau never want to be within 12 inches, ever. So what that gives you is just one last bloody chance to stop the charge before it gets to you. Okay, fair enough. Anything that's cost 2 CP does have the potential to massively increase your damage output, like the coordinated engagement, get 5 marker lights on for one of your crisis battlesuit units. But it's got restrictions as well. Yes, we're massively upping the damage of XV8 crisis battlesuits, but you can only do it on one of your units, and you can only do it on one enemy unit. 2 quite hefty restrictions. One normal restriction, 1 hefty one by only being able to do it on 1 enemy unit. Makes it, it's good, but it's not that good against MSU. So if you look at all that, like I said, apart from that broken Tau stratagem, it all looks really quite well balanced and thought out, which is nice. Now, there was one other cult stratagem that was previewed on Facebook, which is kind of shite. I'm going to be honest. So what it says is, the Heart of the Creed. Use a stratagem before the battle. Select one cult Primus model from your army. When that model is set up on the battlefield for the first time, you can select one additional enemy unit for that model's meticulous planner ability. You can only use this stratagem once per battle. It's only 1 CP, and for those that don't know what meticulous planner is, it basically means the turn that this guy comes in, select an enemy unit, and you get reroll 1s against the unit within 6 inches for that phase. So, on paper, that looks like, what, poop? Okay, fine, it does look poop. But, what it does let you do is have your Primus come in, and then you can, in the shooting phase, you could select 2 enemy units to get reroll 1s to hit against. Reroll 1s to wound against. So, again, if you think about it like this, you could have the Primus come in and support your neophytes. Okay, so he comes in and he goes, right, I want that unit of this is the shooting phase. For 1 CP, I'm going to give 2 enemy units that you get reroll 1s to hit against. Okay, and then, you know, that's actually... And then if you've got a couple of Jackal Alphases around, that means you're going to have, potentially, you could have your whole gun line getting +1 to hit against a couple of enemy units, rerolling 1s to wound against a couple of enemy units. And then if you're Hive Cult and you're within the Hive Cult Warlord range, you're then getting reroll 1s to hit. So what you're seeing there is you can have a whole load of neophytes all congured up to this guy, and you might kill the one enemy unit that you want to kill, and then find that you're struggling to kill the second one. This could give you that little boost. So what happens is, let's say you deep strike in those 80 cultists like I often do. A couple of Jackal Alphases, they're all conga lights. You give +1 to hit against 2 enemy units. You get your 1 Primus who gives you reroll 1s to wound against 2 enemy units. You've got everyone conga lined back to your Warlord with the Hive Cult stratagem. So everyone there is hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, wounding on whatever, rerolling 1s. And so that's one way of doing it. Or another way of looking at it is, now you only need 1 Primus to try and do 2 decent ambushes. So you could bring in your big blob. Think about it this way. You could bring in your big blob of like 20 acolytes again, use the stratagem to move them d6 inches close towards the enemy, and then charge 2 enemy units and get reroll 1s to wound against both of those enemy units you've just charged, not just one. And because you've got 20 guys, that's quite easy to wrap multiple units, and you still get your +1 hit. So it actually is, it's not totally shite. Again, it's what a stratagem should be. It gives you a little boost. It's not totally broken. But the problem is when you compare it to things like what Marines get for 1 CP, it's a bad joke. You know, that's the problem with it. On it, and this is kind of the problem with some of the Games Workshop stuff, which is they release the broken stuff, they get told it's totally broken, and they go, oh, okay, fair enough, don't worry, the stuff we release afterwards won't be broken. And then everyone's like, yeah, but the stuff that you did release is still broken. So it is a problem. It is a problem. I'm not gonna lie. All the stuff that we've seen that's been released so far is nowhere, apart from that broken Riptide stratagem, all what we've seen for cults and we've seen for Tau, it has no way of competing with new Marines. No way at all. So that's all the cult stuff and the Tau stuff done. What does that, and like I said, none of it's broken, but none of it can be said to be on the same power as Marines. That's fine, guys. That's absolutely fine. If I did say that the problem with trying to, that the problem is that now Marines are so powerful, everyone's going to want their time in the sun, aren't they? Now, but I think Games Workshop, I'd like to think that Games Workshop have gone, okay, Marines are totally busted. And all they have to, but we promised everyone all this good shit. what if they give everyone a similar boost as to what we've seen here? That is perfect. And take a look at the last few Psychic Awakening books. Okay. Faith and Fury, Chaos got some good stuff in there, some good stuff in there, but they're not on the same level as Marines. Chaos got the boost that they needed to get. Black Templars got a Black Templars are Marines, but Black Templars are probably the worst chapter of the Marine stuff, because whilst they have all the regular Marine benefits, which if you take Marines and give them no other benefits outside of the shock assault and the bolter drill and the tactical stuff, that makes them okay. It's just the doctrines and the super doctrines that makes them stupid. Okay, and Black Templars, their doctrine is you get 5 up against mortal wounds, whoop-de-doo, not a big deal, and you get to reroll charge. It literally is just not a big deal at all, and you get to reroll charge distances. Okay. That's nice, but that's not broken. That's the weakest of all the Marine traits whatsoever. And your super doctrine is again quite balanced. I won't go into it now, but it's balanced, and therefore it's the worst of the Marine ones. Look at the Blood of Baal stuff. The Nids, they got a nice little boost, nice little update. Nothing too broken. 1 or 2 standout strats, but generally speaking, they're all right. They're pretty good. And Blood Angels got the boost that they needed. They're not totally broken, because again their super strat doesn't kick in until the assault phase, like the Black Templars. So all it does is allow them to maintain the momentum after they started suffering casualties. Perfect, that's what Marines needed. And some of their crappy units are now pretty improved. Sanguinary Guard are now really, really good. That's great. Yeah, that's a good way of doing it. And yet I played my brother's Blood Angels with my cult, 2 balanced armies. I didn't have my Psychic Awakening buff. He did, and it was a really good battle. Go and check that out on his channel. And it was a draw. Spoiler alert, it was a draw. And it was one of the most fun games we've had, because Blood Angels used to really, really struggle, and he used to have to use as a gimmicky stuff to win. And he brought a balanced list, and I brought a balanced list, and it was fantastic. So Blood Angels got the boost they needed. Same for Dark Angels. Their shit wasn't broken whatsoever. The Thousand Suns stuff, their stuff isn't broken at all. They get some wacky stuff they can do, but it's all based on psychic powers, so it's really random. Grey Knights are really powerful because of their smite spam. What Grey Knights are really good is deleting elite armies, so they still struggle against horde armies. Now, if a Grey Knight wants to come down and do 16 mortal wounds to me in a turn, I couldn't care less. Well done. You killed 1 conscript blob. I don't mind. You get 16 smites off, and that becomes 32. Mortal wounds. Yeah, and that's. But if you do that, you're giving up your survivability. Grey Knights are really, really powerful, and I'm sure, and there is some rumours floating around that they're totally broken, but I think they're just totally broken against the current meta list. I think if someone turned up with my 300 guardsman list that I'm working on, I don't think that Grey Knights would be very happy to face that at all. Sisters, they're okay. They're not, some units like Repentia I hear are totally bonkers, but the rest of it seems like there's lots and lots and lots and lots of small synergies, but it's not totally broken. And now we're getting to this book, which is a nice little boost for everyone, but from what we've seen so far, nothing broken whatsoever. You've got a stratagem to improve your XV8 battle suits. They needed it. Crisis suits were never seen. Now I think you'll see everyone taking at least 1 unit. Good. They should be 1 unit of crisis battle suits in every army. Good. Farsight enclaves are good at close range firepower. Good, that's what they should be able to. And they've come up with a stratagem that for the in codex units like the Riptide with the Iron Accelerator and the Ion Cannon Hammerhead is a good choice. It's only broken when you factor in Forge Wars. Well, everyone knows Forge Wars is bullshit. Why do you think it's been banned for most tournaments forever? you know, this modulated weapon one, it's not a look at they put a bloody normal Riptide with it to tell you why they did it. It's 1 CP to give that Riptide a bloody chance. That's what it is. And they even took into account the Storm Surge. They tried, guys. They did. So it's just Marines which are broken. Now, taking all that we've seen from all of Psychic Awakening into account, what do I think I'm going to see in... This is the bit you guys have all been waiting for. What do I think we're going to see for Guard? Well, I think it's a given. I think it's a given that you're going to see build your own regiment traits. Okay? And I would say that those build your own regiment traits, if you look at the ones that the Tau get, and you look at the ones that the Cult gets, I would say that those regiment traits have got a good, are going to be sort of the 20 or so options that you're going to get. I think half of them will be ones that you can pick from the current regiments. So, for example, there'll be one in there that says add an extra 6-inch range to your heavy and rapid fire weapons, like the Vostroyan one. I think that there will, or it'll be like add 3 inches to the range because they don't want to totally make Vostroyans pointless. There might be one of like the Mordian one. It'll have 5 of Overwatch, but it won't have the +1 leadership one. Or there'll be a Cajun one. Stay still, get reroll ones to hit, but that's it. So I think you'll have all of the current ones that are available, which will take up about half. Because if you add them all up, Cadians get reroll ones. Kachans, so that's 1. Kachans get add 1 strength and leadership, and they get the vehicle reroll thing, so that's 3. The Hallands get grim demeanor, which is the fleeing and the less models fleeing and the wound cache, which is that's 7. Vostroyans just get the 6-inch range thing, so that's 8. Armageddon get infantry with 18 rapid fire and vehicles ignore AP -1, so that's 10. Talan get 2 because they get the infantry and they get the vehicle. Infantry can advance and shoot. Vehicles don't suffer the penalty. Titanic vehicles also get a bonus 1, but I think they won't have that one, so that's 12. Stormtroopers get 1, that's 13, and Mordians get 2. They get the leadership and they get the Overwatch thing, which is that 13. I think that's 13. So I think you'll have all those ones. I think will be available. I just think the Vostroyan one might be 3-inch range. Well, I say Vostroyan. I think Vostroyans will stay with 6 inches, and their build your own regiment one that's based off them will be add 3 inches. I think that'll be the case. So you could have add 3 inches to your ranged weapons, and then if you stay still, you get to reroll ones. A combo, the bit of the Vostroyan one with a bit of the Cadian one. That would be nice. I think the other 10 that there might be will be totally new and unique, and I don't know what those are going to be. Do I think they're going to update the regiment traits in the Psychic Awakening book? No. They haven't. I don't believe they have updated any of the traits in any of the Psychic Awakening books. They've just added the build your own regiment one in. If Guard don't get build your own regiment and everyone else does, I think I might actually cry. I might have a little breakdown. But I think that we will get our build your own regiment traits. Do I think we'll get our own psychic discipline per regiment? No. Because we just know. Because Guard aren't big on psychers, and I don't think we'll get our own psychic. I just don't think we will, because you've just got the Schola Sakana. That is the regiment that gets that. It's not an actual regiment; it's an auxiliary. Scholastica Sakana. Do I think we may get additional psychic powers? I think we may. I think we might get a new psychic discipline. I think there's a chance that would happen. Because Cult obviously get a bit of psychic. Tau don't. Tau, it would be unusual. Tau aren't going to get any psychic powers, obviously. Guard should get some additional psychic powers. I think what will happen is the Gene Stealer Cult will get 1 extra power per creed, which will become 6 new psychic powers in total. And Guard, and they'll be really, really powerful. And I think to balance it, Guard will get at least half new psychic disciplines, maybe 3 to 6 new psychic powers, but they won't be totally broken. And I think they'll be usable by any regiment. Okay, you may see ones that can be done. The only other thing I would say is you may see a psychic discipline which can only be used by astropaths and ones which can only be used by Primaris Psykers. That would be the one thing I could see them doing. Long story short, I don't know anything on what psychic powers we're going to get, but I do believe we will get at least 3 additional psychic powers. That's my prediction. Let's see if I'm right. Let's see if I'm right in the coming few days. What do I think we will get unique to each regiment? I think we will get we'll get 1 additional unique order per regiment. I think that would be needed. 1 additional unique order. Do I have any idea what those orders would be? I couldn't say. I couldn't say it at all. But I think I mean, looking at the ones that we currently have, Cadians already get 2. I think we should get. I'd like to believe we would get 1 additional order per regiment, which would be another 8 orders. I think we should, yeah. If you include Militarum Tempestus, yeah. I think we should get a new order, for sure. I don't think we'll get any new models. I don't think we will do. We've had some in Blackstone Fortress recently. I don't think Cult are going to get any new models because they're not getting... Cult aren't getting any new models. They're just getting the Kelemorph release as a standalone. And like I said, I don't think we'll get any points decreases. I think we will get some new relics. So I think we'll get 1 unique order per regiment. Some additional psychic powers. Regiment traits, extra relics. I think we'll get a couple of extra relics and a couple of extra warlord traits, and then a unique stratagem per, and then a unique stratagem. If you look at what everyone else has got, if you look at all the other Psychic Awakening books, you've got your build your own regiment thing. You've had people. Everyone gets additional psychic powers. Everyone gets additional stratagems. Everyone gets additional traits and relics. I think we will get that as well. I think they're all safe bets. If I was, my prediction will be, okay, I'm going to think it this way. My prediction will be a new psychic discipline, generic. Minimum of 3 new psychic powers. I'm not sure we'll get the full 6. Let's say we get a mini sub psychic discipline. Number 1. 1 unique, an average of 1 unique order per 1 additional order per regiment. Now, will they be unique? Maybe not, but I think we will get additional order. That would be cool. Additional orders. I think we'll get an average of. I think we'll get 1 page of stratagems. I think half of those stratagems will be unique, half to a regiment. The other half will be not unique. I think they'll be generic. So maybe an additional sort of 10-ish stratagems. I think you'll get 3 new relics, 3 new warlord traits. That would be the minimum I'd expect to see. 3 new psychic powers. 6, maybe. If I was to be really pessimistic, I'd like to see it, and maybe it's not quite right, but I think we will see 3 new psychic powers, 3 new orders, 3 new warlord traits, 3 new relics, and a page of stratagems. That would be my, and build your own regiment traits. That's what I think we should get, and that's what I would like to see us get. One last thing to say. Games Workshop has been putting out quite a lot around scions recently. That's why in the pictures I've included this picture they've done from the latest regimental standard. I think we're going to see more scion stuff. They've also hinted that scions might be released as their own separate faction, so that would be cool. So as a bonus round, I think that there could be. Ooh, it's a difficult one. I think maybe Scions might get a big boost because they've dropped them down to 7 points, and they're going to give them a big boost. I think Scions could become really, really powerful because they've referred to them as a fourth faction in this book, which would be really interesting if they got dropped and no one was expecting it. So there you go, guys. There is my predictions. I'm going to leave it there, guys. What do you think we're going to get? So we know it's all well and good me rambling on for over an hour. What do you guys think we are going to get? What do you think of what's been released so far for Tau? Now, I want you to discount. We all know that the Yavara Riptide thing is totally broken with that stratagem. Take that out of the equation. What do you think of the Tau things that we've seen? From what I can see, it's powerful but not broken. Gene Stealer Cult. My general impression so far is some of it is okay. Like that auto-gun stratagem is okay. It's got some tactical flexibility. It's only 1 CP, whatever. Some of it's really powerful, like the +1 to wound thing. Really, really powerful. That's like an overlapping fields of fire for wounding stratagem, but in the psychic phase. What do you think of the Tau stuff? So what do you think of the Tau stuff? What do you think of the cult stuff? Which one of what we've seen so far, which faction do you think has got the better stuff? For the Guard, what do you think we're going to get? And the last thing to say would be the reason why I don't think the Guard. The last thing I'll say is the reason I don't think the Guard are going to get anything super strong is because Games Workshop has revealed a little teaser stratagem for them, which is for the Bullgrins. So I'd just like to say, Games Workshop, whoever's watching my YouTube channel has been closely following the fact that I've been building Bullgrins for the last 2 weeks. Thank you for giving me a little buff. The Bullgrins get. This stratagem that they've released, in the context of Imperial Guard, isn't that strong, but it has big connotations. So it's called Shield of Flesh. It's 1 CP. Use stratagem in the shooting phase when an infantry unit from your army that is in 3 inches of a friendly bulk unit is chosen as a target of an attack. Until the end of that phase, when resolving an attack made against that infantry unit, if that bulk unit is close to the attacking model, then that infantry unit is to subtract 1 from the hit rolls. Now, for Imperial Guard, that's not a big deal. You could combine squads, 2 infantry squads, and then have 20 guards with a -1 to hit on them. That's pretty good. And then you can have -1 to hit on another blob using Night Shroud. So you've got another. So that's Guard getting some interesting sources of -1 to hit. You could do it on some veterans. You could have a 10-man Scion squad with it on, and then you could put Psychic Barrier and take cover on those Scions to give them a 2+ save, -1 to hit, and then you could Night Shroud them to make them a 2+ save, -2 to hit, and have 10 Plasma Scions walking around, plasmaing things. That's quite good. Not that broken, TBH, and the Scions, if they do get hit, will die, and you have to line up on a lot of psychic powers to get that off. But good, not bad. The interesting thing about this, and so for Guard, it's a 1 CP strat that lets you protect like a blob of 20 guardsmen or something. Cool, fine, whatever. What's really interesting about this is the fact that it says an infantry unit from your army within 3 inches. So this is actually really powerful for soup lists. And amazingly, what you can do with this is you could have a squad of Centurions, Space Centurions, walking behind some Grav Centurions, walking behind some Bullgrins, and the Bullgrins get to give those Centurions a -1 to hit, because it's not when an Astra Militarum infantry unit from your army is in 3 inches, it's an infantry unit, so it applies to anything in the soup whatsoever. So In the context of pure guard, this is a niche stratagem. In the context of soup and the rest of 40k, this is really, really powerful. And I think you will see a loyal 32 and 3 Bulgrins going forward in some soup lists. What I would really interested for you guys to do, if you've got this far, is to let me know what you think of that stratagem. What's the best pure guard combo you can think of for it, and what is the best soup combo you can think of for it? That's what I would like. That's what I'd be really interested in. I've thought of blobbing conscripts. I've thought of having I've thought of having a blob of 20 guardsmen, or the Scions of Death. That would be cool. What about though? What I say is, before we sign off, because I've been going on for a long time now. Before I'd sign off, this would be the last thing I'd say, which is, if we were to take this stratagem as an indicator of what we are going to see from Games Workshop for Guard as a whole in Psychic Awakening, I think we should be cautiously optimistic. Because I think what we're going to get are some cheap stratagems, 1 to 2 CP stratagems, which will provide us with some buffs, which can be used every turn for cheap, but nothing that is totally broken. And I think that's really important. I think that's really important, because, and that's what I'd like from Guard, because what I'd really like to happen with the Guard Psychic Awakening, I don't want us to drop and for us to become totally broken and overpowered. That just wouldn't. I know a lot of you out there want to get revenge on Marines, but that I think would be bad for the rest of the game. I want Psychic Awakening to drop, and for Guard to get lots of nice little buffs, and for us to get this little tool chest of 1 CP stratagems that we can just be like, okay, yeah, it's just another thing that we can pull out of the toolbox. That is what I hope to get, and that's what this stratagem here is showing for me. I think we'll get a nice little boost. I think there'll be nothing totally shite and disappointing in there, nothing totally broken or overpowered in there that's going to get nerfed in a 2-week FAQ. Bang down the middle, and I think it'll be a good time to play Guard, Cult, and Tau. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Thank you for listening. Apologies the video has gone on for so long, and I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time.